Jody McDonald joins the show. The perfect guest. What's up, Jody?
Not a bad place to start for you, Farzetta, on the Jacob Media platform. Know you've been a star on YouTube for years, but thank you very much for putting me on your early Jacob Media appearance of the Farzy Show.
Well, you know, Jody, you are such a phenomenal, I'm not just saying this, a phenomenal baseball mind. I couldn't not have you on my first show on Jacob Media, and it also be opening day and not talk to you. And you do a great job, Burst 365, but I know deep down you just want to talk some baseball.
Kind of in my DNA, seeing as my father was in the game for 50 years and took me to every stadium on the planet. Yeah, I'm pumped up that the baseball season is back, and we got a pretty damn good Phillies team to watch this season.
We certainly do. Let me just start off here. Rhys Hoskins, was looking forward to seeing him in this lineup, as stacked as this lineup is going to be. What are your fair expectations of Derek Hall?
I think he's going to be fine. Is it a drop off from what Rhys Hoskins can bring them offensively? Yeah, probably a little bit. He's certainly going to strike out a bunch. And Rhys was very good, a guy who could use at the top of the lineup because he gets his fair share of walks and make pitchers work. That's not a Derek Hall strong suit, but I absolutely believe Derek Hall, given 450 at bats, 500, can go 25 home runs. So the power drop off is not going to be that great. And oh, by the way, even though I'm a huge Rhys Hoskins fan, my daughter's favorite player, and she's a Phillies season ticket holder, they'll be better defensively because Mark Farzetta can play first base better than Rhys Hoskins can. So all off season before Hoskins got hurt, I was asking every Philly guest I could get on, what's the chance of them actually playing Hall at first base and DHing Rhys Hoskins? And everyone's, oh no, he works so hard over first base. He puts in that great up. He stinks at first base. Let's be honest. He's a bad first baseman. So the Phillies will improve defensively with Derek Hall at first base. I do believe that.
All right. Now, do you think it's a sink or swim moment for Derek Hall? Does he play against lefties as well? Are they striving for 150 games out of him? What do you think we get?
I think they're going to give him that chance.
Okay.
I think from month one, April, if it's a really tough lefty and if he's got any track record against a guy just can't flat out hit him, yeah, they'll move Bohm over from third base, put him at first, and put Sosa over at third against a really tough lefty. But I think he's going to play against lefties in April. And if he can hold his own, then yeah, I think they got no problems with him being a 145 game a season guy. Now, if he goes 1 for 22 against lefty, yeah, he'll not see lefties at all going forward. And Bowman's going to have to make sure he brings both gloves to the dugout every day, whether it's first or third. But I think they want Hall to be their close to everyday first baseman, and will give him the chance to earn that position against left-handed pitching.
All right, Rhys Hoskins or not, this is still a stacked lineup when you think about it from start to finish, really. It looks like Trea Turner will be a leadoff man. I wanted him to be the leadoff man. I wanted Kyle Schwarber to bat second in that lineup. I love a man on base for him to hit some bombs during the season. What do you make of the lineup that Dave Dombrowski has put together so far?
Good, and Rob Thompson will be a little more challenged this year than he was last year. He had the lineup, and he likes to stick with a lineup if it's working. He's not the kind of manager to move guys around. I actually thought he was a little inflexible last year, even though I love Rob Thompson. He might, by the fact that they have to deal with Hoskins being out of the lineup and the fact that they've got a couple of less than stellar defensive outfielders in right and left, he might have to be a little bit more flexible and be willing to move guys around, which I perfectly believe that he's capable of doing. So I think the Philly lineup will be fun this year because there may be some more moving parts. Trea Turner will be batting leadoff. Yes, we know that. That's good. That's a good, very good starting place. But I think everything else is kind of up for grabs. And I hope and I believe Rob Thompson will be a little more flexible this year and make changes when necessary.
All throughout last year, well, really, I should say in the second half of the season, I started to hear the same thing from just about everybody about Nick Castellanos. And I had the same feeling. There's no way Nick Castellanos only bats 260 and hits, 15 to 20 home runs. There's a lot more power there. Does Nick Castellanos have a bounce back year?
There are a lot of people that believe that's the case. And if you look at it from it can't get any worse perspective, yes, I think his numbers can and will go up. But back to the Cincinnati numbers he put up, yeah, I'm doubting it. That's just a home run haven. It's a 30 home run park for him. Citizen Bank Park is a good home run hitter's park, but not as good as Cincinnati. he gets to the 20 mark this year. Those who are thinking high 20s or 30s might be a little bit high. I've heard all the stories about he needed to get used to playing in Philadelphia. It's a change in life. When he moved from Detroit to Chicago, he went in and hit about 325 for the Cubs when they rented him one year to try and make a playoff run. So I don't buy the Nick Castellanos needs to get used to his surroundings argument. He'll be better. Will he be all-star level like he was previously in his career? I don't think so. I'm not buying into the optimism as much as others are.
Is there anyone in this lineup, from the position players that you're looking at that you're really curious to see how they fare when the season starts? Anybody out there that you think has some untapped potential to this point?
Oh, yeah. And his name is Alec Bohm. Whether it is mostly at third and some at first, however many of that games to break out. And I hope it doesn't have an adverse effect on him. I've certainly seen players who've been asked to add a position to their resume for flexibility's sake, and they play part-time over there, and they drag it into the batter's box with them. That you never know that. We'll have to judge that about Bohm if he's going to be going back and forth between the two positions. Either way, he has looked very good in spring training. Everyone said before he even showed up, Bohm's put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. Look for improved power out of him. And we've seen that in spring training. I think if you're looking for a breakout guy, a guy to top his numbers from the previous year, I think Alec Bohm is easily your best bet. And I think his numbers will go up across the board offensively this year. And oh, by the way, he played better defensively in the last month and a half of the season because he, like Bryce Hoskins, was not good at his position defensively up until late last year. So I hopefully that trend continues, that he plays a very good third when he's over there.
All right, last thing with the position guys here. Over under May 31st. Over under May 31st. Bryce Harper back in the lineup.
Yeah, was that amazing over the last couple of weeks? Dombrowski comes out and says, well, we're going to try and avoid putting him on the 60-day disabled list. Excuse me, he's supposed to be out to the All-Star game. Why wouldn't you put him on the 60-day disabled list and get yourself an extra spot on the 40-man roster? I hope that wasn't just them being overly optimistic because they thought that's what the fans wanted to hear. And Bryce could actually be back by end of May, early June. Either way, when you said it, May 31st, if he's back June 2nd, I'm not going, oh, damn, he's over. That's still a month earlier than anybody thought he was going to be back. So just the fact that it is trending in the right direction, if they're giving us honest updates on how his rehab is going and how quickly he can be back, the Phillies are in a much better position, and it looked like they were going to be all off season.
All right, let's talk some arms right here. Aaron Nola, they're apparently not going to be talking about a new contract once the season starts. Do you think that they will introduce a little conversation when the season starts, or is that too much of a distraction?
You put the call into the agent, just say, hey, we're willing to talk. If you want to talk, we'd like to pick it up again. And if the agent shuts you down, you say, all right, we'll talk at the end of the year. So you keep the lines of communication open. Here's the good news for Philly fans. Because when you have a negotiation, it doesn't go well, and one of the two sides or both sides agree to shut it down, sometimes you worry about the player, and he's thinking about it. He's worried about it. Why couldn't we get this done? Maybe they don't like me as much as I thought they did. I'm not really worried about that with Aaron Nola because he's such a laid-back guy to begin with. He is just, you talk to him, you have to check him for a pulse. He is so calm, cool, and collected that I don't think he's going to let it get inside his head at all. I think he'll just go out and perform. If anything, I think a little extra added motivation that he could be adding to that bottom line with a big season. I don't think that will be an issue for the Phillies. I hope they get him signed. I hope they get it done. But I actually think Aaron Nola is going to pitch well enough that whatever the number they're discussing right now, it might be the up by the time they get around to it again 6 months from now.
Will we see Andrew Painter in this rotation by, I'll just say, the All-Star break? Do you think he'll be in there by then? If not, when?
I have no idea. The only thing I do have an idea about, and I've been saying this for the better part of 3 months now, I actually thought the Phillies mishandled Andrew Painter during this offseason.
Wow, okay.
They put a little too much on his plate. That Dombrowski talked him up a blue streak, and there's a spot open in our rotation for him. If he comes in, does what we think he can do, we're taking him north with us on opening day. Kid's 19. And I know he was great last year. He just kept moving up from level to level to level, and he dominated everywhere we went. And even if your evaluation was as good as they told us it was, you keep that to yourself. You don't need to air that. The Phillies went to the World Series last year. If you're worrying about adding extra fannies to the seats, well, your results last year jumped your attendance plenty. They didn't need to put extra pressure on Andrew Painter. Now, he got hurt. Do I know he got hurt because he was trying too hard? Because he says, damn, I'm 19. I can make it to big leagues. I don't know that. Only Andrew Painter knows that. But I just, sorry to be critical, but I thought the Phillies were a little bit too optimistic and got the high hopes up a little bit too much on Andrew Painter. So now it actually can be advantageous. Then go real slow with the kid. Take all the time you need, bring him along slowly, watch all the innings he's going to pitch at the minor league. You can basically set his clock for when you think he can advance to the big leagues. And maybe he's pitching big games in September rather than big games in April. Usually a guy goes down with a pretty big injury. Oh, my God, that stinks. No, it actually could work out in the Phillies' favor.
Mm-hmm. All right. It's interesting you say that because one of the things I loved about the offseason was you never hear it from a Phillies front office member, let alone the president of baseball operations about, oh, yeah, that young kid in the minors, he'll be up, no problem. That was more or less what Dave Dombrowski was doing in the offseason, as you alluded to.
And it didn't quite work out. So
go figure.
Don't look for that to be the Mick Abel story or the McGarry story. Oh no, they learned their lesson. When it happens, it happens. You can pump the stuff out of the kid at that time. Don't need to do it in advance.
All right. Before we get to some fun stuff here, I want to ask you this question. What is the number you have in mind when talking about the Phillies, and how does their season end?
Last night on my WIP show, I threw it out there, 5-part question for all the Phillies fans. 87.5 wins. They won 87 last year, so they got to be better. Over 87.5, I say over. Will whatever that number is, 88, 89, 99, will that be enough to win the National League East? I fear not. I don't think the Braves and the Mets are coming back. They finished 14 games out last year. The Mets and Braves tied with 101. They were 97. That's a gulf. That's even with the addition of Trea Turner. I don't know that either the Braves or the Mets come back that much. I think someone other than the Phillies will win the division. Does it get them in the playoffs as a wild card team? Yeah, it does. 87 got them in last year, and they'll be more than 87 this year, so they're in. Can they win the National League? They showed they can do it in the playoffs. So, yeah, I think there's one other very good team in the National League, better than any of the teams in the National League East, which I think they're going to have a tough time getting past, and that's the Padres, who they handled last year in the playoffs. But I just like that San Diego team. So I'll put the Phillies with anyone other than the Padres in the National League this year.
All right, fair enough. Last thing for you as far as this Phillies squad goes, when it comes to a home run leader, does it go to Kyle Schwarber again?
Yeah. But I'll give you the other guy. We already talked about Bohm. He will be up significantly from what he hit last year. I'm on the Trea Turner power bandwagon. Everybody loves Trea Turner because he fields, he hits, he can run the bases, might lead the National League in steals. You saw all those home runs he hit in the WBC, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had 2 home runs in all of 21 at-bats in actual Philly spring training games. This is probably a more homer-friendly park than he's ever played in. Washington or LA, not near as much as Philadelphia. Oh, I think Trea Turner can hit 30 this year. Count me in as a Turner 30 home run guy.
Okay. Generally speaking, thumbs up, thumbs down to the new rules.
Like him, the pitch clock was necessary, and they needed to put it in the game. If it's handled correctly, and the umpires, there'll be a learning curve with the players, pitchers, batters, everybody else. There'll be times, sure enough, the first week in spring training, they end the game on a violation. Jason Stark, our buddy from The Athletic, had the greatest term, called it the clock off. We have walk-offs. There was a clock off in spring training, which, yeah, everybody went nuts over. They'll get all the bugs worked out of it by the time the season gets underway. And if they have to adjust, they will. By June, we'll all have forgotten that the play clock is even involved. So I love that. I'm okay with the no-shift rule. It's going to help the Phillies because I think it's going to help Kyle Schwarber. I think the larger bases has been woefully over. Oh, my God, stolen bases are going to be up by 25%. It's 4.5 inches. Stop it. So for the most part, yes, I think the rule changes will make the game quicker, better, and I like them.
All right. Now, on the show, you're a first-time guest, not only just on Jacob Media for me, but you're a first-time guest of the Farzy Show in general. Can I throw the Farzy 5 questions at you? The Farzy Show 5. Here we go. Let me bring in let me just bring in the band real quick. They've been off all day, guys. You want to get all right? All right, here we go. First question, Farzy Show 5. Best job before you were a broadcaster, and you did not say working in the mailroom at ESPN with Fred Gaudelli and Drew Esikoff.
Oh, you know my background all too well. Very good, Mr. Farzetta. No, prior to that, 2 summers, I worked as a concessionaire on the beach at Rye Playland. So the work stunk, pouring sodas, cooking hot dogs. Oh, the view was tremendous. Ooh. Absolutely tremendous on the beach at Rye Playland.
Very interesting. I'm sure it was. Go-to fast food place, Jody McDonald.
Mickey D's. It's got the best name ever, so why would I go anywhere else other than McDonald's? Come on. That's a layup, Farzetta.
Keep it in the family. Keep it in the family.
I could only wish that were the case.
Favorite city to travel to? You've been all over the place. Jody McDonald, favorite city to travel to?
Oh, that's a good one. Done Chicago a couple of times, and every time I went, had a great time. Never did Chicago in the winter because, hey, I'm smart. But out there for summers, for Cubs games, sitting in the bleachers, Wrigley Field. I've never had a bad time in Chicago, so that's where I go.
There you go. All right. Now, I know you're a very happily married man, but back in your dating days, what would be a first date deal breaker? First date deal breaker.
Deal breaker. I thought you were going to say deal maker. No, because I had one of those. Take your new girl to Shea Stadium, sit in the general manager's box, and impress the snot out of her. So, I used that one. Oh yeah, that was one card I had up my sleeve that I played a lot with potential.
Did you ever play it down like, hey, you just want to go to a game? I got some tickets. And then surprise, we're in the GM box?
No, most of them knew ahead of time that my father was the general manager of the Mets. So it couldn't go down the surprise route. It was just, hey, we'll do this type thing.
Okay, there you go.
Deal breaker? Yeah, she was just I hate sports girl. If she was indifferent, I'm okay with it. I can work with indifferent. Mm-hmm. Honey, I want to stay home, watch a little basketball tonight. What do you mean basketball? Why can't we watch The Bachelor? Oh, no, see you later. Bye.
Hit the bricks. You know what I'm saying? All right. Last one. Jody, you're one of my favorite people I've ever worked with, and you're one of the nicest guys you could ever come across. But what makes Jody Aloysius McDonald beep his horn in traffic?
Beep his horn?
What makes you beep your horn? What makes you beep your horn? Is it just out of safety? Is it out of anger? What makes you beep your horn?
Wow, I got no friggin' idea what you're trying to get at with that.
I'm just saying, like, we all have those moments where somebody swerves in your lane a little bit, somebody cuts you off, somebody's down on their phone. What makes you beep your horn?
I never beep my horn.
You're a no beeper?
No beeper.
A non-honker.
No. If somebody cuts me off, somebody's stupid enough to do something like that, I'll swerve into the slow lane, go by them, and give them a finger or two while I'm at it. But yeah, no, forget the horn. When you can go to personal showing of displeasure, I'll do that over just hitting my horn.
There you go. All right. Now that is okay. You might have just beat Taryn Hatcher for the greatest answer to that question. Okay. Like, forget. Taryn said any minor inconvenience, still beep her horn. You're like, screw the horn. You get the middle finger.
I got a better way to display my displeasure. And if I'm in any conversation with Taryn Hatcher, you're talking to one happy guy. I'm losing that one 19 out of 20 times. If there's 1 out of 20 that I'm in the same conversation with her, I'm a winner.
Noted. Guys, we can cut the music. Oh, thank you. Oh, way to go. Guys.
Cut down the band.
Jeez.
Keep playing about it. Why shut off the music?
All right, we'll keep it going, guys. You want to pick it up? You guys are hot today. Yeah. Wow. His name is Jody Aloysius McDonald. Jody, it's always great catching up with you, man. So much. Catch him on 365 right here on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. Catch him on WIP, CBS Sports Radio. Catch him with Mac and Mac. That's Glenn Mac now. Catch him with the other Mac and Mac, Birds 365, with our friend Johnny Mac as well.
I'm a Mac and Mac guy all over the place.
Jody McDonald, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Jody.
Farzy, we'll get you back on Birds 365 soon enough. Congrats on the new show here. Well, the new old show here on the Jacob Media platform. And we know you'll be giving us a good lead in every single day. So thanks in advance for that.
I'll be doing my absolute best. Jody McDonald, thanks, brother.